Next, we're going to add another particle system here. This is a pre-rendered one. We're going to do a live one that later on we can just pre-render if our workspace is slowing down. Let's add a new solid. Right-click, New Solid. Click OK. On top of this, search for particle systems under Effects. Apply the CC Particle World. Go to Physics. The type will be Fire, just like the other one. Going to the particles, instead of these long streaks, we're going to use faded spheres. And either this one or shaded spheres will work out. I'm looking to use this as a luminosity mask, so making them black or dark grays are fine. And when I did that, it's a little hard to see them, so let me turn off all those layers and toggle to transparency for the background of the composition. And that's how they are right now. A little too energetic. Let's decrease the longevity a little bit and the birth rate a little bit. Going to Physics, decreasing the extra amount, setting that down to 0. Decreasing gravity a little bit. Apply a fast box blur to all this. Increase the blurriness. To increase the particle size, trying to make the particles not look so separated. Going to Particles and the birth size and death size, just increasing them. A little blur, more blur to it. The producer is also in 3 dimensions. We just need a 2-dimensional fire. Going to the producer, go to the producer. Set the radius for X, Y, and Z. Z down to 0. Apply Colorama so we get a better sense of what we're working with. So the Colorama gets applied to the particle system layer. Expanding the input phase. Selecting alpha. Get phase from alpha. Go to output cycle and select fire. And go under modify and uncheck modify alpha. Let's see how this looks in context of the whole scene. Turn on all the other layers. Drag the flame right towards the bucket, and I know it's a little big. Let's scale this down. I'll put it right around here. I'm going to drag this new fire particle system, and I'll just rename that layer fire, and I'll put it in between the bucket layers, just like the embers were. And I'll decrease the scale a little more. To make previews happen a little bit quicker, why don't I just pre-render this fire? We do that once you're done playing with all the particle effects for the fire. It's not going to be a big hassle in case we have to adjust it, because I'm going to just pre-comp this fire layer. So right click, pre-compose. I'll call it fire pre-comp, moving everything on the inside. I'm going to go to this composition, click. I already scaled it down to fit the scene. It would have been a little smarter to not had scaled it down. So I always do 100%. This way, when it renders out, I'll have all the full pixel information of the particle system. Let me render this out. File, export, add to media encoder. PNG. If you don't see PNG, select PNG. It's going to be a PNG sequence with alpha. Choose location. I'm making a new folder. This will be the render out of the fire pre-comp layer with a bunch of PNG files. So it's better to keep it in its own folder. When you're done rendering, import the sequence, file, import, selecting the first PNG, making sure PNG sequence is selected, and click on import. I'm going to go back to the main scene. So I'm going to turn off this particle system layer. Now there's no active particle systems in here. In case you want to adjust the particle system again, you could go to Fire Pre-Comp, and this is the active particle system that we're not using right now. You could go adjust the parameters and re-render it again. As long as you keep on updating the render of the Fire Pre-Comp PNG sequence, it will automatically update in this scene. Let me drag this to this comp. I don't need this Fire Pre-Comp layer in the scene anymore because I'm using this pre-rendered one. Selecting this layer and scaling it back down again. Putting it in the bucket. I'm going to move the anchor point for this layer. In case you have to do some more transformations on it, it's a good idea to have the anchor around where you think the center should be visually. Right there. Picking up the move tool again. You can scale a little more and reposition it. I'm going to apply tint to this. In the end, I'll probably pre-comp all these special effects layers and get rid of the individual tints and just apply one global tint. Let's take a look at that. Now the particles are warming up a little bit. Just drag the fire layer this way. And now we are in the middle of the fire animation cycle. I'm going to treat the bucket as a whole. And this will be the point where I'm going to start to move the tints to the outside. I'm just going to select all these layers, remove the tint, move it from here, and remove it from the background of the bucket. Selecting all three of these layers, pre-compose them, right click, pre-compose, and I'll call it the final bucket, fire, moving everything on the inside. All the adjustments that are about to happen are going to happen on this global scale, like I want a global tint on everything. And then maybe using curves, I want to be able to apply curves to this whole layer and adjust it so it better fits into the scene.